Right now, the most controversial topic in the Valorant esports community is if TenZ is going to continue playing competitively or not. Dapper has leaked that Sentinels as a team and TenZ mutually do want to play with each other.
I will leak. TenZ does want to play with us, and he likes playing with us. Imagine, dude, I don't think my ego could fucking take if I won the biggest event and then this guy said, nah, I'm good, I don't really like playing with you guys.
Rumor has it that he's well worth over $1 million right now. So the real question is he really worth it? And is Sentinels gonna pay for it? Let's go and break down why TenZ is so amazing for Sentinels. First of all, let's see the comparison between TenZ and his replacement, Sinatraa. In the average score department, where we take their last 10 tournament matches, we can see that TenZ has a score of almost 50 higher than Sinatraa's. To put it to perspective, TenZ basically deals around like 50 more damage than Sinatraa almost every round. Alright, so an argument can be made that TenZ only played Duelist and Sinatraa sometimes plays Sova on certain maps. So it only makes sense that TenZ naturally has a higher average combat score than Sinatraa throughout those 10 matches. Because of this argument, let's single out and compare the maps that Sinatraa does play Duelist on, which are Icebox, Split, and Bind. We can see that even then, TenZ has an ACS of close to 296 when averaged out with those 3 maps in mind, in comparison to Sinatraa, which is at 203. That's almost a whopping 100 ACS difference. That's huge. But let's stray away from such an arbitrary numerical way to define a player. The biggest reason why TenZ is one of the best fits for Sentinels and as Sinatraa's replacement is because he plays the heavy entry style that Sinatraa also plays on those 3 maps. With this in mind, just take a look at this graph, man. I mean, like, look at the difference. It's pretty self-explanatory the impact TenZ gives by first blooding players. This graph only records first bloods from the offense side of things, but this in itself shows how many times TenZ gives his team a 5v4 situation on the attack. His rate of success of getting first blood on almost every map is about 10% higher than Sinatraa. To put it into perspective, TenZ opens up the site for Sentinels at least 1 or 2 times more than Sinatraa does per match. We can see that these first bloods result in an overall faster plant time for Sentinels when TenZ is playing over Sinatraa. If you look at the Icebox and Bind graphs here, we can see that this big blue hill right here represents the highest volume of when the bomb is planted. When TenZ is playing, the plants definitely do happen quicker into the rounds in comparison to when Sinatraa is playing. The only map Sinatraa did better on in this aspect was actually Split. We also see a higher volume of kills happening pre-plant when TenZ is playing. Very likely though, this is probably a result of the first bloods that TenZ creates, which allows his team to push forward and kill whoever else is on site with the sheer numbers advantage. Another area we can actually draw comparisons to are their differences in how they approach the entry role. Sinatraa's playstyle reflects the stats though. In comparison to TenZ, Sinatraa has a very brash and fast-paced style in which he is making space for the team in expense of his own life. Now, this is generally not a bad thing, but it does require you to have a team that is behind you, ready to trade at all times. If you look at it objectively, Sinatraa is technically taking unfavorable fights that nobody's expected to win all the time. We have to understand though that this results in the plays being not a winning strategy over time. Meaning, even though it makes flashy highlight plays occasionally, it can actually become a detriment for your team as a whole in the future. TenZ is actually a bit more methodical in his approaches. He manages his risk a bit better than Sinatraa, which definitely shows in the areas which Sinatraa and TenZ die at. I'm going to use their match against LG to try to basically make as much of a fair comparison as I can between the two players under similar circumstances. In this game, Sinatraa and TenZ both play Reyna on Icebox, and on top of that, they actually both win this match. Here are all the areas of which TenZ and Sinatraa die at. You can see that TenZ and Sinatraa actually path very similarly just because, you know, that's what Shazam probably told them to do as their IGL. As a result, the places they die at are very similar. Except this little one dot over here. This little dot right here can actually prove why TenZ might actually be a better replacement for Sentinels. Let's take a look at how Sinatraa actually died here. So Reyna's role is to make space for his team by pushing and taking fights. Simple. In a planting situation, Sinatra's goal is to defend the planter and then transition into playing the post plant. For Sentinels, his role is to hold and defend the lower and upper tube area in case anybody wants to peek out to kill the planter. The action starts when a Proto gives away his position because he has to shoot the arrow. Sinatra calls out a Proto's position, and after Dapper Sage Walls for Shazam to plant, he swings out and gets first blood. Stellar peeks out to try and trade a Proto and possibly even kill the planter, but gets dinked in the process. At this moment, Sinatra actually gets a little hasty for the kill. Dapper probably called out to his team that Stellar was dinked, but couldn't finish him off because he had to reload his Bulldog due to the fact that not only did he kill a Proto, he also spammed a lot of shots for Stellar. In this time period, Sinatra is actually fighting all by himself. He confidently swings out and tries to take the fight, but unfortunately falls due to a Sova dart pinging him, which allowed LG to see him through the smoke. Because of this slight miscommunication and lack of attention towards his teammates, Sinatra pays the price and dies in this area, which is ironically called Danger. Now, not saying that he was the only reason Sentinels lost this round, but this was definitely a mistake which he himself made, which lowered the chance of winning the round for his team in general. Let's take a look at how TenZ plays while pushing the B-bomb site. Going into this round, they actually have a weapon advantage where on Sentinels they have 2 SMGs and TenZ with the rifle. The round starts off unfortunately for LG, where 2 players fall pre-plant. Knowing that LG probably have significantly worse guns, fighting and being aggressive will probably go in favor of Sentinels and reduce any chance for LG to come back into the round. TenZ knows this and continues to push forward with Dapper. The most important part to keep in mind is the fact that he does this with Dapper. The first contact they make is at Snowman, where they both swing out in unison to kill the enemy Sova. Shazam falls to Thief on top tube, which results in both Dapper and TenZ going back on site to try and trade it. While fighting, TenZ is actually low on ammo and is forced to reload, which gives the enemy team a small window of opportunity to kill TenZ. But since TenZ and Dapper were both in sync and fighting together, Stellar, who was peeking from middle, gets killed by Dapper while TenZ is reloading. With a fresh magazine in his rifle, TenZ then kills off Thief in kitchen and they win the round. The small differences and decisions made in these chaotic situations are what separates amazing players from, well, TenZ. With the addition of TenZ on the team, Shazam is actually required to play Sova on Haven and Ascent to fill for Sinatra's role. If we compare stats, Sinatra definitely provides more impact as a Sova player in terms of combat, but if we take into account the fact that Shazam is an in-game leader, this transition might actually be beneficial for the entire team. Playing Jett and being the IGL for the team is very difficult. Jett in itself has a lot of mechanical details to keep the mind occupied with. To top that off with potentially needing to micromanage certain players and where they are positioned while making decisions for the team as a whole, I don't think any player currently can do both of these efficiently. CSGO IGLs have traditionally been known to be not the best fraggers on the team, and for good reason. It's very difficult to have your focus split between shooting a moving target in front of your screen and looking at the minimap to make macro decisions for your team at the same time. It's literally like looking right and left at the same time. It's just not possible. Debatably, because of Shazam being on the Sova role, he might actually have more information and be able to call better mid-round for his team. Energy Daps is a prime example, where he was known to be a very lacking mechanical player in CSGO, but made up for in terms of supreme in-game calling and roster decisions.
Hey, ramp late, I'm chasing him.
I'm swinging him at Staps.
Me and you. Nice, get it.
Me and you.
With an
It's literally Daps. It is 4 and 16.
Yeah, I don't think he was gonna beat me.
One last guy spawn. Last guy spawn. It's Daps. Go fuck him up. You're spawner outside window. Nice fucking round.
Overall, it's hard to maximize Shazam as a player, but I can guarantee you that TenZ is a very good addition regardless to Sentinels. Through these facts, I think TenZ is worth every fucking penny, and I hope he plays for Sentinels because it's definitely the most entertaining team to watch right now. If you guys like this content and you found it helpful, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll probably do more of these in the future. In the meantime though, peace.